Hello everyone, this is Soul with another video, and I'm going to feature one add-on, just a single add-on for you to enjoy or maybe not enjoy, because I think from my last add-on featurette, some of the feedback that I got was like, hey, these add-ons are not so great, which is kind of the consequence of featuring new add-ons because not all new add-ons might be all that great. But anyway, today we're going to feature an add-on that I've talked about before, but I haven't gone in depth. It's called Sorted. It's a bag add-on similar to something like AddyBags or Bagnon as like a kind of all-in-one solution, or it hopes to be a solution to you. And right now it's been, well, as of late, it's been like pretty much my favorite bag add-on to use because of its versatility, because its ease of use out the box, and because you can do a lot of cool things with it in the end. So let's just like jump right into it. So this is the guy, this is Sorted, and as you can see, one of the big differences between this add-on and other add-ons is that it's not about the icons, really. I mean, you can see these icons here, but you can actually just make the icons go away if you really wanted to. Let me put these back right now. But the biggest point about Sorted is that you can see everything by name as you go. And for someone like me, at least, I like being able to see at a glance exactly the item that I'm looking at. These days, with so many different items, hundreds of items that can come in, it's hard to simply identify, oh yeah, I know exactly what that one is or that thing is. And there are many different ways that items have been sorted over time. We've had bag spaces that are bags that are dedicated to like certain things. We have add-ons like AddyBags that can categorize them. Sorted is a good way to kind of it just works out the box. So a lot of these filters on the side here can help you differentiate, or otherwise just with a click, it'll automatically pull all the different items, or certain items like such as weapons, all the way to the top of this list. So I can see all the weapons here. I can see all the armor. I have too much armor here, as well as any accessories, or if I have any bags or things that I need to open. And these are all defaults. You can edit these, and we'll get into those like in a little bit. You can also add your own kinds of filters, such as like BOEs. Anything that happens to be bind on equip, it'll pull up right on top of the list. There's raid stuff, which is empty right now, but I'll try to share an example with that in just a little bit. And then of course, when we clear all the filters, you can do a search as well. So if I wanted to pull up anything that says Greaves, like, oh, maybe I know like the partial name, but not quite, it'll pull up everything that just happens to say Greaves or something similar. So for some reason, it pulls up these Greaves of Iron Intensity, as well as these boots, which aren't exactly Greaves, but they're boots. So maybe the search engine just kind of pulls everything up the same. It does pull up your bank as well. So whatever things that are on your bank, assuming that it's not bugging out, because that's how add-ons work. Here we go. It was the filter actually. So everything that's in my bank, you can see everything that's on there as long as you visit your bank for the first time. All the reagents, all that stuff shows up here too. Before, there was a problem where you couldn't mouse over the items and see the tooltip, and that seems to have been fixed. So it's a really big plus for me. So let me close this thing really quick, and let's look at this top header right here. You see things like rarity, level, value, and other such things. And earlier in the video, let me pull this up, you can add things to it to kind of complicate the kinds of filters that you want to set. So let's go all out. Let's go nuts. I'm probably going to regret this later. Let's go nuts and expand this thing all the way so that we can see like just what all these things are. There's the required level. There's the item level, which you can sort however you like. There's the age as to when you last picked these things up, which is baffling. I don't know how this thing is tracking the age at which I picked things up, but oh well. It might be. I don't know what this is. I don't know how it tracks this. It might just be a way that it tracks it internally, because I've been using this for a couple of months, because I think this caps out at like 2 months or so. So that could be it. no way of me to know for sure though. But of course there's type. You can even sort by the expansion, and here's another error message. You can even sort by the expansion. So all the Shadowlands items that are here, cool, you can show all those things, or BFA items, Legion, WAD, MOP, Wrath, BC, and there's a blank space here, which is a little unfortunate. But you can sort by that way too. You can sort by the vendor value or the subtype, and that's just too much. That's obviously way too much for me, so I don't need to see subtype or type or even the sell price. I don't care if it's bound. I don't need to see what kind of expansion that it is. I need to see very little. If anything, I think item level would be useful. Required levels, that's not, name is obviously important for me. That's kind of the selling point of this thing. Otherwise, then I would just go back to Bagnon or something. The icon isn't necessary, but I guess visually it pleases me. I'm cool with that. Quantity is all right with me. And favorites. Let's talk about favorites a little bit. I'll resize this thing, make it a tad smaller. So you can see like there's like a little star next to some of these things. And what you can do is, well, you can simply favorite it, or you can right click and you can give it its own sort of icon. So it's like, oh, it's a favorite, but this happens to be marked a skull instead. And then you can hit this little star up top here, and it'll bring up all of your favorites here. Simple as that. So if you have like stuff that's within a certain category, you can again hit the favorites, and then your favorite stuff will go up top. I should equip this because I know that I'm going to forget. which would be awful. Right. There's also this pull down here that will pull up all of the relevant items in your equipment set, which I have none. I don't really have any of these set up except for like certain ones. I think my default one, it's stuff that I mostly already have equipped except for this one. So that's the only one that shows up. So I'm gonna clear that. That's not a big deal right now. There's this buggy part here where you can't pull up your alts, but I believe you're just meant to be able to see your alts inventory as well. So hopefully that'll be fixed at some point. But if that's not important for you either, it's no biggie. Now, one of the cooler things about Sorted, as I mentioned, you can create your own categories. So let's click this button right up top here. So let's take a look at the actual menu here. What kind of settings can we check out here with Sorted to customize our experience? Now there's these categories, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, but first let's take a look at like the general appearance. Of course, you can do like the size of this thing. Is it too big? Is it too small? What's the default? I don't remember. I think it was 1.0.5. You can set the icons to be a certain size if you want. If you're a very visual person and you want to identify those by icon as well, and I'm having a hard time. Okay, there we go. Icon borders, cute. You can set borders to help differentiate the colors of them like a little bit more. You can set the thickness if you want. You can space the items out a little bit more, which I really don't like. I'm not fond of that. I don't know what the default was, but oh well. Let's uncheck the icon borders. Animations, that's a different one. Not quite sure what the animations mean. As far as I know, icons don't animate or anything like that. But I can mouse over and see what the border thickness is, and that's way too thick. So I don't want border thickness on my stuff. Fewer visual bits of feedback is better for me. Backdrop texture. So I believe this thing, let me just change the color. So let me change the background just a little bit. You can see very subtle changes in the background of the settings as well as the add-on itself. Not a big deal. What if I change these to something else? I'm good. I'm good. Oh yeah, let's go back to this. Yeah, this is great. This works out fantastic for me. Okay, we can change the font. The default, of course, is Frizz, as we know, or we can change it to stuff that's less readable, or even less readable, or slightly better. Or you can add in your own fonts if you use shared media. I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to pull up like all the different fonts that you've uploaded. Well, let's go back to Frizz because Frizz works. We can set the size to a little bit bigger, which is actually visually, that actually is appealing to me. I like that. Let's go with large. for now. No, let's go with huge for now, especially for the sake of the video. You can set the text outline, very similar to other add-ons that allow you to customize the UI, where fonts are concerned, where you can change the size and outline and whatnot. Side pane width. Now, I didn't show this earlier, but you can change the width here, and you can hide the side panel, so that way it just shows icons. For me, the whole point of this thing is so that I can easily just kind of read, because I guess I don't identify, I don't have good associations with icons these days, so I'll just pull this out. But if I want to make it bigger or longer, I can do so. And then, of course, as you saw, I can resize the window by clicking on this little corner here and dragging it to whatever I want to use. Always use icons. So I guess that seems to only use icons, even if I were to hide the side panel or whatnot. So yeah, that's not what I care for. And this thing is compatible with LUI. You'll be able to utilize it with LUI just fine. Now for the behavior, I think that there's items that I can make an example of this with. So like, check out this mist scale. I have one full stack of 200. I don't know why I have mist scale in my bags, by the way, but I have 200 mist scale plus the 42. If I hit combine stacks, it's just going to merge them all together. Just so it's a little bit easier to sort through them. Now, even if you don't combine the stacks, you can still, you can still see everything. It's still going to be grouped together. In a sense, you're not going to see mist scale here and then mist scale at like the bottom of the page. They're still going to be sorted in a certain way. And of course, you can shift click, change it to the number that you want, and you can move here to just place an item into an empty bag space. So that way, if you need to separate items, like if you're passing out stuff, you can easily do so this way. And then I think this will hopefully work, where you just keep separating items if you want to. And if you still want to clean up the bags, you can just click right here. It's a little bit hard to, this is something that I needed to feel for and figure out. So I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. Obviously, right? Okay, so anyway, that's combining stacks. Scrolling, this just kind of changes the visual feedback of how the scrolling works here. So if I were to change the wheel scroll speed to something very fast, and it didn't bother doing any smooth scrolling either, you can see that it's very jagged. The scroll speed just has to do with just how many icons or how many lines does it go down every time you roll your mouse wheel. So I think the default was at 3. The smoothing thing was, I believe, also at 3. Yeah, so this works out for me. You might have noticed that newer items like this Fallen Adventurers cache that I happened to get when I was doing Ma Adventures right before doing this recording. This is something new that I got, so it's considered like a new item. Whatever, not like a big deal. Let me clear some of this stuff out because these are not favorites of mine. And once I close the add-on, close my bags and then reopen them, you can see that it just goes back to its default settings, which is to sort by rarity from the most rare going all the way down. Apparently keystones are the most rare thing of all, followed by artifact stuff, followed by legendaries, followed by, well, everything else. This tooltip delay, I guess it's like, how long does it take until it shows up? Yeah, that is exactly what it is. So hover, 1 second, boom. I'm cool with it being instant though. I typically want that faster visual feedback. Info on item tooltips. You can see right here that there is that little sorted UI thing right under the tooltip. Not something I care for. I'm going to leave that off because I use Trade Skill Master. It's not on here for the purpose of this recording, but that's what I usually use for tracking items and other such things. So you can also set up the behavior when you open the bags. As you saw, it kind of goes to this default here, but if I wanted to restore it to previous settings, so if I had it set to favorites or something like that, and I close it and reopen it again, I should be seeing what I saw before, but I guess it did not. But I think it's just based on what was previously done. So if it was like this now, and then I hit the favorites and I close it and reopen it, then it's going to go back to what it was before. I don't really like that. So I think I'm fine with leaving it off as is, and to use specific. So in this case, it's gonna be based on name and then rarity, and you can set all these different sort of options here and make it ascend or descend. Same thing goes with the filters. I prefer to have no filters, or you can have it set to what it was before. This is something that I'm a little restoring search is something that I'm a bit more fond of. So like, for example, let's say that I was doing a search on something or other. You know, I'm done with the search, I close it, but I want to open it again. It'll at least go back to what I was searching for before. And then pinning favorites, we already saw that favorites tend to go to the top anyway. So I'll leave that there. I'll leave both of these here. So the behavior that we can set it to is, like, let's say, for example, you're doing an Isle of Conquest. You're doing Isle of Conquest, you pick up one of those C4ium bombs. And those bombs, they don't just pop up on your extra action button because that's not a thing. That wasn't a thing at the time. It just goes into your inventory. It's like, oh man, where's it in my inventory? It's going to go straight to the top of the list. So that sort of ease is a bit reassuring. It's just a really strong add-on. But anyway, let's move on to the really powerful stuff, because we know what profiles is. We know how all that stuff works for the most part. But let's go to categories. Now we see that these are all default categories that are editable. You can kind of change things around however you like. And time added. That's still a weird one for me. But anyway, I had some, there are some of these that I created. So I made a thing called old stuff. So sometimes when I'm doing old raids, old content, and I want to sell stuff, get rid of things, or otherwise put them into another add-on like Aardvark that'll auto sell stuff, this will at least make it so that I can easily identify all these things that are old, even if some of these are item level 200, because I'm doing this during a time walking week for Wrath of the Lich King. But you can add all sorts of stuff to how you want these different filters to work. Again, you can look at BOEs, and then right here, it'll just show everything that happens to be a BOE. So if we go into the setting here, we just look at binding, bind on equip, cool. Or if I wanted to be bind on pickup, it'll automatically update. If it was bind on use, it would show up here. But right now, it's just mostly the bind on pickup stuff that will show up and then actually be available here in the add-on. And then there's the raid stuff. So with the raid stuff, I actually needed to type in everything manually. So and the cool thing is that I could just type it in and then it'll automatically search for it. So let me see if I can make a good example out of this. Let me add this Darkmoon deck. So I'll add. So as soon as I finish typing it, the add-on will identify and pop in the item ID, and that's it. So now it's there. So if I go to raid stuff, there it is, and it's that simple. So you can add whatever it is that you want, either manually, or you can pull it up by all sorts of different things. Set your own parameters. It's really, really powerful. I can't stop singing praises for it, despite like some of the flaws and error messages that you would get. So obviously, folks, Sorted is not the only bag add-on out there. I mentioned Bagnon, which I think most of us are very familiar with, but then there's also an add-on like this. This is AddyBags, which is basically the same thing. It just what it does is sort everything out by category. In this case, we see all these categories and we see them all on screen. It's just that we have to mouse over all the different things. Now, this is fine for a lot of folks, and that's why AddyBags is a pretty popular add-on. And I tried to make this thing work for me, but the problems that I've had that still plague me even now when I was messing around with this add-on the other day before shooting this video is that whenever new things pop up, I kind of lose them too. Like when it comes to like consumable, or when it comes to like new items, they'll pop up as like a new item that will show up at the top of the list. But it's also just, I don't know, it's just a little disorienting. And the other thing is that the filters are much harder to add here than they are in Sorted. there you'll see in if you're using, I don't know, WoW Up or CurseForge or whatever, there are different modules that will let you, hey, now you can sort out anima and anima powers, or legendary memories and things like that. Whereas in Sorted, I could just build that up very easily. Now, what you're seeing here is, I think, just kind of a visual overload. This is no settings were changed. You can see like a million different currencies, and the orientation of how the bags are set up are done in a certain way. So again, you can sort this however way that you like, and it'll be visually better for you. But I think that as an out-the-box solution, for the sake of ease of use and everything, Sorted just does all that stuff better. I think the biggest difference between these two add-ons is whether or not you want your visual feedback to be in the form of an icon or the actual text. And for me, at least, seeing the actual text is a huge, huge plus. How do I change the orientation on these things again? Damn it. Configure. Oh boy. Intuitiveness is kind of important too. Okay, so now that goes into junk. Okay. It's not junk. Wait, why is it only junk? What about consumable? Oh, I gotta go into each one. Okay, so that lumps everything into trade skills if I uncheck that. Yeah, this is woohoo! You see why I like Sorted? I guess the difference between Sorted and AddyBags would be that AddyBags is trying to organize everything at the same time, whereas Sorted is like, no, fuck that. Let's just show you what you want to see. But like someone here on stream is saying that some people want to see everything right away. I just want to see everything that matters, like like just the armor or just like whatever trade goods that I have, so I can like go through that stuff. Very easy. I can see the list. I don't need mouse overs to do it, and then that just works for me. But I think that just about does it. Except, well, there's this. Okay, there was this very useful thing. If I want to switch back to normal bags for a moment, like let's say if I'm having a problem with the add-on, or if I'm having trouble looking through stuff, I can just kind of just with a single click, temporarily turn off the add-on and switch back to Sorted. And I think that's a really cool benefit too. But anyway, I think that about takes care of everything that Sorted is all about. Like you can switch bags here. I think I've shown everything with how all this stuff works and filters and everything. My banks are so full as usual, sorry about that, but I think that's going to wrap it up on my feature on Sorted. So let me know what you think of this add-on. The add-on creator does not know that I made this video. I was not asked to make this. I'm just a big fan of it, and I wanted to share some of the excitement with you folks. Yeah, let me know what you think about this in a comment below. Let me know if you do think that other bag add-ons are much better, and if so, share that in a comment below, because we're all just trying to help each other out. As always, like the video if you enjoyed yourself, and subscribe for more videos like these and all things Warcraft. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.